Good evening, everybody. It is 7 o'clock on Monday, May 17th. I'd like to call this meeting of the Village of Romeo Board of Trustees to order. Would you all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Could you please call the roll?
Bartholomew?
Here.
Edwards?
Here.
Fowler?
Yes.
Hart?
Here.
Parker?
Here.
Poznanski?
Here.
President Malzahn?
Here.
All are present.
Good, we have a quorum. Next up on your agenda is the consent agenda. They have special meeting minutes of April 14th, special meeting minutes of April 19th, closed session, and special meeting minutes of the 19th, regular minutes of April 19th, and the special meeting, that needs to say May 5th, not April 28th, and the council bills, the vendor report for May.
Say that again. What needs to say that you said the 8th?
The meeting was on May 5th, not on the 28th.
Oh,
I would like to-
Mine says the 5th.
The agenda is wrong. The agenda
Oh,
says
the tonight's
the
agenda.
meeting minutes are correct, but the agenda has
gotcha.
the wrong date listed on it. Sorry, I didn't make that clear.
I would like to pull out the special meeting minutes on the 19th.
On the 8th.
Okay. I need also to correct the meeting minutes from the 14th.
Yeah, I have, okay, you have one for the 14th, and then for the 19th.
I have a correction on the 19th also.
So all of them?
Yeah. Okay. So why don't we just pull them all out of the consent agenda, and we can review them one by one.
Okay.
So we can start with the special meeting of April 14th, since that's the first one on the list. Those meeting minutes were taken by Trustee Poznanski. There were a couple of corrections that I made to them, and the one that I would like to have added is the statement that I read at the meeting should be inserted into those minutes. I have a copy of it. Does anybody want me to
Yep.
read what that statement was again? I have recently learned that cyber criminals have deployed ransomware to our network. This ransomware infection required us to shut down parts of our network as we work to remediate the issue. As a result, some of our IT assets may not be fully available. This investigation and remediation process is fluid and ongoing as our team of cybersecurity experts work to recover access to our equipment. Under advice of both special and general legal counsel, along with the chief of police, in an effort to protect the Village of Romeo from further attacks, that is all the information that I can provide you at this time. I encourage each of you to understand the risks and exercise every precaution to also protect Romeo.
So are you asking, am I responsible to do that, or will you guys do that?
No, we can adjust it. Clerk Trapp can adjust it and add that paragraph or those
Okay.
two paragraphs into the minutes.
Just want to make sure he's doing it. Thank you.
Were there any other corrections to the minutes from
On
the
that one,
14th?
I wanted to do the same thing, so
Okay.
that covers me.
I'm going
for
to
that.
make a motion for the minutes of the 14th to include that paragraph. All in
Support.
favor?
Oh.
Sorry.
Aye.
I'm sorry, Bob supported that. Were there any opposed? Okay. We have this special meeting for April 19th, which was the 6 o'clock meeting. I have one correction to those meeting minutes that I made prior. The motion by Hart, second by Poznanski, to accept the recommendation of McDonald's Hopkins for the cyber ransom attack was the correction of the actual motion.
And I would also like to add that 7 were present, and we only have 6 accounted for.
Fowler
So-
was a no vote.
Okay, that's what it is. And that was it. That was mine.
Okay, any other discussion? I'll make a motion to accept the minutes or amend the minutes from the 6 o'clock meeting with those corrections.
Do we have that correction that I was a no vote on that?
Yes,
Once it
yes.
came on?
Yep. Support?
Support.
Support.
Support by Poznanski, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We have the closed session meeting, April 19th. Those were provided on your table front. There's a blue and a yellow sheet. Closed session is on the yellow sheet. I'll make a motion to approve them as presented.
Support?
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Then you have the regular meeting minutes for the 7 o'clock meeting on April 19th. Any discussion? Make a motion to
This,
approve.
well, yeah, this one, I think
We already went through that. didn't we?
trustee Fowler and myself both spoke during trustee comments, and then I don't see that in here. I can watch back and get a copy of those, so we can get those in the minutes.
I'm going to make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
This is right after we came out of closed session, correct?
Yeah.
Correct. That's the 7 o'clock meeting.
Support.
And Bob Hart made the
Motion
motion
and
to accept the insurance for the ransomware payment. That was after roll call, correct?
That was in the special.
It was in the special meeting.
That happened at the end of the special.
Yeah, but we had to come into a regular meeting in order to make that.
We came out of closed,
Correct.
and we stayed in the special during the special, so it was on the one we just approved.
Okay. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Nays. All right, moving on, we have the we have the minutes from April 19th, the closed session. That's on the blue piece of paper that was in front of you. I'll make a motion to approve those minutes as presented.
Support.
Support by Poznanski. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And then you have the May 5th special meeting, the 6 o'clock May 5th meeting. Any discussion? I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from May 5th as presented.
Support.
Support by Poznanski. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We got through the minutes. In your packet, you have the council bills and the vendor report for May. The total of the amount of bills was $39,981.74. Any discussion?
Well, my concern is that's not really the total. We are paying other bills. This is just what we've been given, correct?
This is the vendor report. That's correct. These are the monthly council bills as they're reported. There is a total check register of the regular occurring bills. In that report, you do not have.
Okay.
But there are always two totals in the monthly approval for the bills. There's one that's a lesser amount and then one that's usually a couple $100,000, so.
Right. So
this-
is that money being spent, though?
I'm sorry, is that what?
Is that money being spent? There is more money than this being spent that we are not approving, correct?
I believe that these are all the bills that Rebecca was able to, all the checks that she was able to issue. The
Okay.
$39,981.74.
I don't see our, I know I got a check. Did you guys get a check? And I don't see any of that on here.
Well, that would be in the check register report.
Okay. So we are paying other things that we aren't, the council isn't approving, right?
Payroll.
Right, payroll.
So just payroll then? Okay.
Oh, yes, yes.
Okay. I just want to clarify that we're not paying other bills. It was just payroll.
Nope, yeah, it's like
Okay.
President Milzon said, this is an
Okay.
account of every check that went out stands to payroll. That is a separate report.
Okay.
Motion to approve council bills? Support?
We have a motion by Bartholomew, we have support by Edwards. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Bartholomew,
Yes.
Edwards,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Poznanski,
Yes.
President Milzon.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Great.
I would like to bring to light, though, that we need an approval of the agenda that's not on the agenda. That would normally come next.
Okay. Okay, so approval of the agenda, we'll add that to item number 4. I need to make a couple of changes, if I could, please. The DDA is not going to be present tonight. They've asked us to remove that, put it on our June agenda. So we can cross that off. Any other changes to the agenda?
I
Are
would
we
like-
able to add, are you able to give an update on the current computer software?
It's in my president's report.
It is, okay.
I would like to add, though, I suppose under unfinished business, that we need to set some dates to go over budget. So maybe D under unfinished business?
Okay, we'll add budget dates under unfinished business. Any other additions or deletions?
Do we have any update with what is it, ordinance 523, the peddler, trans merchant stuff? I know we did a temp approval of a fee at the meeting.
We
and
approved
were-
the fee for that peddler's ordinance.
Yeah, I thought
right?
it was a temporary fee that you asked for to get things rolling because you were getting some stuff in and we were going to readdress
It
that
wasn't a
ordinance.
temporary fee, that's a permanent change until we vote to make a different monetary amount for that fee, but I have asked the DDA to take a look at that peddler's ordinance, especially for the food truck, the mobile food vendors, but
Okay.
they have
Yeah,
not
because I thought it was
reported back.
presented as we were just approving it temporary until we brought the ordinance back because we didn't even have the whole ordinance at that time for review.
It's not my recollection, but, so no, I have nothing else to add to that.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought we were going to look up that ordinance and clean it up a little bit.
Yeah, that's where we're at with that. Maybe we'll get that next month.
All right, I want to make a motion to approve the agenda with the corrections.
Support.
Support by Edwards. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, let's move on to our special presentations. Letter A, Friends of the Village Park. I'm excited tonight to announce a kickoff or a Friends of the Village Park. When Ford Motor Company announced that they were leaving the Village of Romeo, I engaged in a series of meetings with them. At that very first meeting, I asked them for a couple of things. To be mindful of what the Village of Romeo would look like when they left, and if they would also entertain an opportunity to leave on the best foot forward, which would be a possible donation and give back to our community park.
Cool.
At the time, I asked them for $100,000 for that park project. They gave me 40 the first year, and then they've come back since and added 30,000. So we have a $70,000
Nice.
commitment from Ford Motor Company. When that announcement happened from Ford Motor Company, I needed a 501c3 corporation for the funds to come through. So I immediately reached out to Ruth Hedebrecht from the Mitt TV, who has a 501c3, and I asked if she could help facilitate that. She, of course, was super excited at the thought of partnering and bringing this project that is much needed to fruition. So her and I have sort of been working side by side and collaborating, and I'm going to invite her to come up and give us a brief overview of the status of that. So, thank you, Ruth.
Thank you. Ruth Heidebrecht, 354 Salem Drive South, Romeo, Michigan. I've been a resident of the village for over 30 years. I graduated from Romeo High School. I've spent a lot of time in the village, and I've also spent a lot of time in the park, whether it be as a teenager or an adult with a business directly across the street from the village park. So I'm very excited to talk about what we've got accomplished already with the Friends of the Village Park Committee. We have created this committee, and this committee will facilitate this project. This is a private project. It will not be spending any tax dollars. And the Friends of the Village Park Committee will work hand in hand with Parks and Rec, the Village Council, our residents to complete this project. We will be a committee made up of residents, business owners from our community. We have several businesses and residents already that have committed to not only being on this committee, but being sponsors of this project. And we're looking forward to adding several more people on the committee and, of course, sponsors. There has been a lot of interest in the community for this project to restore and enhance our village park, especially with what we've gone through in the last 2 years. We need a place to gather. We need a place of fellowship. So ever since the president of the board, Christine Malzahn, secured the $70,000 from the Ford Motor at commitment, the Mitt TV, as a 501c3, has taken on the management role of this project. As a 501c3, we have received one payment of $40,000 from Ford Motor Company and the last payment of $30,000, totaling $70,000. This $70,000 is earmarked for the restoration for the Village Park. As a 501c3, the MIT has taken on the task of spearheading this effort and is also committed to the ideas of using a lot of what we already have in the park. And it's a really good opportunity for everybody in the community to come together. We're expecting to have a few events in the park where we can show who's working on it, some of the ideas. Again, it's at the conceptual stage right now. But we'd love to have some food trucks and some drawings out on the park and really utilize the park to join people together and get their ideas on what they would like to see. We're looking for an implementation early spring 2022. And we're working right now with conceptual drawings with our local HRC Engineering, who were the original designers of our park. And we're also working with J. Epic and Engineering, and they designed the Shelby Township Park. So they know a lot about our municipality parks and how we utilize them. The lot of things that we want to do are enhancing. We want to use as many materials as we can. If we can reuse the bricks with walkways, the bench parks, and all of that, we're going to use as much as we can. One of the main parts of this park that have been deteriorating is the gazebo. And that gazebo's been there as long as we all have been here. You know, and I was there yesterday, and I was there today, and we also, you know, film in the park, and we know how difficult it is to film anything in that gazebo. So one of the main items that we would like to enhance is to have a new, not a gazebo, but a small
Amphitheater?
pavilion. And to also, while we're looking at this restoration, we'd like to do irrigation, so the grass would be beautiful. There would be many more green areas for the community to picnic, bring their families, their children. We're looking at a handicap playground, a small handicap playground, a small playground for children to be added, a bottle filler, which you see mostly in parks now, especially after COVID. We no longer have the drinking fountains anymore. And we're looking to add a lot of those, keep as many things as we can, and add as many new and vibrant plants and trees to the park. And of course, last but not least, we would really like to implement a new Christmas tree, because you all see how many people in this community come out to our events during the holiday. It's a time for us to all get together and joyfully celebrate in front of that tree. And that tree has been hit by lightning or whatever. It's had its better days. So that is one of the large items that we would like to add to our whole conceptual drawing. We have several conceptual drawings in the works right now with these engineering facilities, and we also are working with Fort County Community Foundation on grants, and we're also working with our representative Lisa McLean, who has taken on this project as one of her own, because of course she lives here. And tonight on her team we have Lucia DeSico, who's the constituent outreach coordinator, and she specializes in grants, and she's going to speak to us for a few minutes about Lisa McLean's team being involved in this. So thank you.
Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Lucia DePico. So I am here for District 10. Our district director, Kathy Burton, really wanted to be here tonight to give this presentation herself, but we seem to be a little double booked all of a sudden. But yes, we're very interested. We'd like to be kept apprised as to what's going on with the park. There are a lot of grant opportunities. I worked on kind of putting together a little presentation on grants. It's actually available on Congresswoman McLean's website. There's also links from her website to grants.gov. There's a lot of different opportunities that may be available to you on the federal level and also within the state. There's just more than really I can go through. Really what we can do in the office is we can provide letters of support. We can definitely be kept apprised once these grant applications are submitted, but we obviously can't fill those out in our office. But we are definitely supportive of the project, and the Congresswoman was very interested in having someone here tonight just to express that. She's very excited about the project, and she would like to, be kept informed as this project continues. All right,
That's
all I
excellent.
have.
That's excellent. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
This is a great opportunity, again, as Ruth indicated, for the community to get together, also for us to engage with our business owners who really don't get a vote very often because our rules of procedure sort of exclude them from serving on any commissions or subcommittees. Doing it as a Friends of the Village Park gives them an opportunity to actually be a little more engaged. So I'm excited that we have this opportunity. I've been talking about the Village Park for a couple of years now. I'm looking for ways to get it funded, and to think that we could do this project without the use of any taxpayer dollars is super exciting to me. So I'm happy to do that work. So thank you very much, and we'll look forward to bringing some updates.
Thanks to all of you.
I do have a couple questions. I do have a couple questions, if I may. Probably for Ruth. You had mentioned that.
It's kind of hard to hear you behind that plastic, so let me go at the same.
Okay. You mentioned that we would do some meet and greets and get the public involved.
Yes.
How exactly will we be taking the public's wants into what they would like done there?
Well, we thought of doing a couple events and getting maybe some food trucks and having some, of the drawings there and some of the ideas. And we had an idea of even having a chili cook-off and then having buckets at the different areas, like deciding on benches or deciding on elements that they could literally buy the tickets and then put their vote in the bucket, to be involved in it. Also, there are several slots in the committee of anyone who wants to join. And it's going to be a marketing situation where we're going to have to start educating everybody. You know how a small village is. We need to communicate. And if you know what we do marketing. So we're going to try to educate. We also are going to have a website, a Facebook page that everybody can go to. They can leave comments and, whatever interests they have or questions that they have. The committee will be able to answer those.
Okay, so you guys are essentially already going to kind of pick what you want done there, and then the people just get to kind of choose like A or B.
Well, right now we're in the conceptual phase. We just have the conceptual drawings from the engineering where you basically see what you have, and then those elements are placed in, each engineering firm has delivered a conceptual drawing. But at that point, we're just gathering, because we want to have a lot of ideas and we want to give everybody an opportunity. We want a local person, we want a not so local person, we want some general ideas to be flowing.
Okay, I understand.
So, but we really want, to have our residents' input as much as possible. So we thought we'd do a couple gatherings, since most people in this community would like to gather right now.
Absolutely.
And get out and see each
Absolutely.
other smile and see their faces. So we thought we'd give it a little voting thing. I can honestly tell you that those details are not inked out yet, but we're working on them as fast as we can.
Okay.
Because we don't have much of a season this year because of the restrictions and all of that. So we're hoping to do some fall, summer and fall, and then be ready to go next spring.
And if residents wanted to, you said there's spots on the committee, if residents wanted to apply or jump on, who would they contact, what would they do?
They can contact the Mitt at, on the Facebook page, our inbox, and we'll get right to them.
Okay.
The pages have not been, for the Friend of the Village Park, have not been established yet. I would say in the next 2 weeks, you'll see those pages.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Anything else? Anyone else?
Thanks, Ruth.
Excellent.
Yeah, no
Thank you.
problem.
Okay, so we removed the DDA draft budget. Moving on to correspondence. I had one letter of correspondence from Barton Mallow. I'll just take a moment to read that. It says, "Details on demolition activities continue at 297 Prospect Street," which is the old middle school structure, "to remove the structurally formerly known as Romeo Middle School. Throughout the demolition process, we have uncovered unknown and previously hidden conditions with existing building construction. These conditions have severely slowed progress and have impacted the schedule. Initially, the plan was to have the building completely removed in April. However, with the impacts to progress due to the unknown building conditions, we anticipate the schedule extending through the first week of June. Crews are on site every day and continue to work as rapidly as possible with the conditions. Specialty equipment has been delivered to the site to try and improve progress, and the crew is committed to completing this project as quickly as possible in a safe manner. If you have any questions, please contact Barton Mallow at 586-281-1142.
I had heard that they also had found a time capsule.
They did, which is, the contents are on display at Kezar Library.
Oh.
If you wanted to go down there in the archives, it's quite intriguing.
Well, we approved the temporary ordinance for the removal and the, the use of the streets. Do we have to do anything with that, or does that still encompass the time frame?
The time frame was extended in that ordinance to hopefully encompass any of these delays. So
we're
we should be
still
still
good with
fine.
that.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. I just wanted to update everybody that it is indeed delayed, so. Moving on to public comment. Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to address this board under public comment? Hearing so, please step up to the microphone and give us your name and address.
Good evening. My name's Al Demchek, 71400 Fisher Road, Bruce, Michigan. I'm here today to discuss the marijuana ordinance. This is Associate James McKenna, Anthony Pacito. I know the meeting agenda is going to have the marijuana business ordinance, and I know there's been some changes proposed, but that does affect us. We're F5G Shelby Labs. We have a building on Pond Road, and what we'd like to do, and you probably received a long letter of what we had to go through, the ordinance we'd like to address. As the ordinance stands, we had a consultant out of Colorado and our lawyers, and they had stated that out of 220 applications like the Romeo application, that was one of the best ordinances they have. So kudos to, I guess maybe Christine and Mark, or whoever put that together. It was a great job, and Catherine as well. So we're really involved in the community, been here since 1985, have 4 businesses right now, and what we'd like to do is go back to the original ordinance. You have any comments, James?
Okay.
Okay. So, as you know, the letter is available. Could we pass out some information to you?
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you.
What we did is we filed all the necessary documents.
Thank you.
On a timely manner. What you're receiving right now is some of the information on our table of contents: job creation, community outreach, shareholder experience in highly regulated industries, community involvement, charitable contributions, and volunteer work. What the park would be doing is, if we were in business, we would be donating a considerable sum to that park. That's what we want to do. Our goal for the first year is donate $100,000 to community outreach. That may be the park or anything else. Once we get fully operational in the whole building, we're looking at $250,000 for the community of Romeo. Plus, we're looking at 90% of the jobs coming from the Romeo community, high-paid, high-skilled jobs. That's what we're all about. We're also dedicating $250,000 to the Hermelin Brain Cancer at Henry Ford. So fully operational, we are committed to $500,000 in charitable contributions. So what we did, and I know there was some comment about community outreach. That's what the packet that we're giving you right now has all of that information. Anyone on the board, we can invite you to come in and see the whole book. In other words, we've got, I think Christine said, binders. We've got about 18 inches of binders with everything from A to Z, what we need to do as far as the marijuana business. So we would like to go back to, ask you and request that you go back to the original ordinance and look at that and have a review and hopefully award us the license for grow in process.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right. Was there anybody else who wanted to address the board on a public comment? All right. Hearing none, we will move on to our reports, our officer reports. I apologize for the length of my president's report, but I'll try and read through it as quickly as possible. So my president's report for May 17th, 2021. I'd like to take a moment to congratulate our 3 Bruce Township firefighters who have recently completed their 1-year probationary period. It was my pleasure to attend their pinning ceremony on April 21st. Job well done to John Gilja, I hope I said that right, Tom Karam and Kara Vianney. Romeo thanks you and the other Bruce Township firefighters for your service and for your dedication to this community. The May 1st joint Bruce Township Romeo Electronics Recycling and Paper Shred Day was another successful collaboration between our communities. We serviced 37 cars who brought electronics, 45 cars who brought just paper, and an additional 34 cars that brought both paper and electronic goods to the event. The cost of the e-cycling was estimated at $1,200, but with the amount of goods recovered, the invoice only totaled $1,000. So the village's cost for the event was $300 for the shredding and $500 for the e-waste. We are in the process of determining another date for fall of 2021. A big thank you to Mike Philbrook, Catherine Trapp, and the 5 serve students that were all on site with myself to help out our residents as they pulled into the queues. The Romeo Tree Board. The Romeo Tree Board's Arbor Day event was a huge success, even considering the last-minute change in locations. The tree board arranged for the planting of 4 2-inch trees along the fence row in the cemetery along St. Clair. The costs associated with those trees and the plantings were paid for with private donations by the families of Paul Reese, Leon Bourgeois, and the Tri-County Community Bank. The tree board arranged for and gave away almost 100 ponderosa pine saplings also at that event. I want to give a huge shout out and acknowledge the tree board members, Leo Hudson, Ruth Hedebreck, Chris McLeod, Donna Foland, and Chairman David Miller. Also Trustee Bob Hart, who's the board liaison. This Arbor Day event would not have been possible without their countless volunteer hours. I would also like to thank the cemetery board, Kelly Stevens, Diane Smiles, and Sandra Brooks, for their support and approval for these plantings in the cemetery. The opening meeting for labor negotiations was held with the POAM last week. Myself, Clerk Trapp, and legal counsel Mark Clark were all in attendance. We anticipate and look forward to a successful round of discussion talks. Here is an update regarding the cyber ransomware attack the village encountered on April 13th, 2021. This has been a long and arduous 4 weeks, and I wish I could inform you that it had been concluded, but unfortunately, that is not the case. However, as of this morning, Monday, May 17th, our IT provider, SYO, was able to reinstall our decrypted and cloned server hard drive. We have successfully recovered our historical data that was stored to the server up to the date of April 12th, 2021, and are able now to work our way back to normal, recreating each of the transactions from the last few weeks bringing our BS&A software up to date. The village did pay a single ransom through a third-party negotiating team, which was pre-approved by our insurance carrier in the amount of $12,400. In return, the threat actor did provide the decryption key for one of the 2 machine IDs. That key was successful in unlocking the server and the P drive. A second key will still need to be required to unlock the main computer for the DPW. The majority of their data was not stored on the main server or its backups. The negotiation process for that second key is ongoing. The forensic team is also still analyzing the drives to provide us more specifics on how and what occurred. At this time, there is still no indication that any of the information that the village maintains has been deleted or compromised. I hope to have a full report available for you soon, but it does not appear that any residents' information has left that server. I encourage all of our residents to be vigilant against the many threat actors which seem to always be active throughout the course of our everyday lives. Incidents like the village experienced are on the rise, as we have all learned last week with the Colonial Pipeline ransomware attack. All of us are vulnerable, whether large corporations, small municipalities, or individuals using a home computer. We probably all know someone who has been a victim of a hacker, someone who is able to manipulate emails or send infected viruses through bad links using various methods. We seem to be bombarded with phishing schemes and robo-phone calls from threat actors who misrepresent themselves in an attempt to scam anyone who is not vigilant against these attacks. I continue to encourage everyone to be on guard for attacks against their personal information. Our police department is always available to assist anyone who thinks they may be a victim of such an attack, or to simply call and ask them about the validity of a request prior to engaging with the entity. I'd like to take a moment now and extend my sincere condolences on behalf of the village to the family of Peggy DeVos. Peggy lost her life to the COVID virus, and we lost a true friend and advocate for the village of Romeo in the government body of Washington Township. Out of respect to her husband Matt and their son Shane, memorial services were private. But there is a GoFundMe page dedicated to the memorial, to a memorial in her honor. Let us please take a moment of silence to pray for her and for all the victims lost to this terrible virus. Thank you, and may God bless you and your loved ones. That concludes my report for this evening. Clerk Trapp.
Yes, the cemetery board is currently reviewing a study and a proposal for redoing the roads in the cemetery. So they are reviewing that right now. We will be getting together soon to go over some of the details. The cemetery board is also looking for volunteers for placing American flags on veteran graves for Memorial Day. Weather permitting, the dates are going to be May 26th and May 27th. Board member Diane Smiles has been updating and adding names to the list of vets all winter. So if anybody, if we missed anybody, please by all means contact the office and we can get your loved one on the list. Also, this past weekend, Diane did unearth a headstone of a Civil War soldier that was buried in her cemetery. The headstone was completely submerged under grass, so I don't know how she found it, but she did. And right now, actually, our local VFW post is still deciding if there will be a Memorial Day parade. I'm hoping to hear from them later this week, for they actually have a meeting tonight also at this time. So please watch our Facebook page and website for updates on the Memorial Day parade. That is all I have.
Okay. Treasurer's report.
I just want to thank all the residents for their patience and understanding during this process with the ransomware. It has been a grueling experience in the Treasurer Department, and I want to just compliment Caroline, who started 2 weeks ago, and she's still working with me in that regards. Today was the first day that we did have the system up and running, but what we have to do now was go all the way back to April 13th. All the checks were scanned into the bank, but now what we have to do is match up the check with the actual invoice and payment, and then those receipts are journalized, and then therefore then that is transitioned into the accounting perspective. One thing that I have learned through this whole process is I educated myself how important it is to make sure that we have backups. And just all the research that I've been doing, and I know we're going to be talking about the budget in just a few moments, but one of the things that I've learned through BSNA, which is a software program, is that we need to make sure that we are following the recommended backups with BSNA. One of the systems that I've reached out to several of the municipalities that have taken this on is they have one online backup system. And with the treasurer's server, it's separate from the main server. And one of the things that I found out is that I do have the capability, which I will be implementing on a daily basis. Any transaction that is receipted in the treasurer department will be backed up on its own flash drive. I will be seeking out additional IT companies that can just provide an additional second, third opinion to make sure that the treasurer program software is protected, so that in the event that this ever happens again, I know myself personally, I don't want to go through this. I know the employees. We've all been under a tremendous amount of stress, and hopefully it hasn't impacted our customer service at the office in that regards. But we've really been working diligently just to make sure that every resident business owner calling in is gotten back to, and we can provide a solution in that regards. So I think that that's with this unfortunate event that's happened, I've been better educated and know now what I need to do and make sure that protecting village assets so we don't experience this situation again. And then the other thing on it is that I did have some pushback, which I did get the backing from our banker, which is it's called a positive pay, which is a fraud detection to prevent any checks that could be paid that should not be paid. That positive pay is imperative that we have that system set up. There's no cost to the village, and what it does is it actually protects the village assets for having any checks come through for payment that should not be paid, which could be altered at some point in time. And so I feel that the time that we spent to have to manually input checks into the system is well put forth, that we need to spend the time to manually input the checks into the system, opposed to the system that we had before, which is electronic file. So we may be, in this whole process, having more time spent manually, but in the long end of it is that we're protecting the assets of the village. And then just since I may not have an opportunity to speak, we're going to be talking about the budget, and I just want clarification. Looking back at the notes, we would have had last May, the budget would have been approved, and then also at the budget meeting to publish the notice for the millage. So is that something that we're going to be talking about at this meeting or in June for the millage rates, so that I can...
The language has already been drafted for that, so it will be published the 15 days out.
Okay, but that's put in there, and let me just see. I think that's about it. Does anyone have any questions or concerns that I could address in the treasurer's office? Okay, and that concludes my report.
Thank you.
I just wanted to clarify that for the positive pay check upload, I was able to facilitate that work. It took me a couple of hours just to go through the check register report that you have and manually key those in. So I was able to help Rebecca in the office do that task so that she could stay on duties, on top of her other duties. Okay, our trustee reports. Trustee Bartholomew, looking in your direction, so.
I'll just wait till sidewalk committee to talk about that then.
You might as well just talk about it
So
now,
now?
because, right,
Okay.
the subcommittee hasn't actually met, so.
I been in contact with our contractor, Wrap Concrete, and they should be starting on Bailey Street this week. They're just finishing up a big job, and he said that the middle to the end of the week, they'll be starting weather permitting. And be starting now by Fred's Market.
That's great. All right, because I know
Yes.
residents have been calling, asking when
Yes.
it's going to start, so, okay. And he's still planning to start, just for clarification, over in the areas that weren't finished last season, correct? So he's starting with what's left on Bailey, Dickinson, I think there was
Yes.
a couple on Musty Street. Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
There were a couple of ones that were unpleasant. We weren't able to get an authorization in time, but then the people wanted to have it. And there's one on Sisson. I don't know if they had paid, Sisson might have paid.
Right.
But could they maybe do that?
Yeah, we're gonna start with the ones that, we're gonna do like a cleanup of people that were
There's
promised.
two I know of. I'll touch
Yeah.
base with you.
Yeah, so we've got a list.
Yeah. If the subcommittee could meet and do that analysis, there are several that we need to do an audit
Yeah.
of any that were missed so that we can give
And I
him
think
the-
we kind of touched on maybe looking at streamlining the process a little bit.
Well, right, the subcommittee can meet. Let's
Yeah,
finish
that's
up our
what I mean.
trustee reports.
Yeah.
Okay,
So that's it.
okay, thank you. Trustee Poznanski?
Not much. Chalk the Walk is going well. We still have a few more weekends left in May, so get out and use the chalk on the downtown sidewalks.
Trustee Edwards?
Nope, nothing here.
All right. Trustee Hart? Okay. Trustee Fowler, Parker, excuse me.
No.
Okay. Trustee Fowler?
Yeah. Romeo was once the jewel of northern Macomb County for small government and has now turned into a laughingstock for political conversation. I know most of us got a chance to watch the Washington Township meeting last week, to where they were punchline jokes of what had happened regarding the ransomware. And, this is unacceptable at this point. It has to stop. I know you're making plans to make it stop, but excuses aren't always the solution. Catherine, you should resign at this point. Save the people the trouble, not have to go through and not re-elect you anymore.
Zach, please stick to your trustee report.
I'm sticking to my trustee report, but
Well,
this is unacceptable.
I understand.
It's very unacceptable. That's it.
Okay. Was there anything from the planning commission that you wanted to add?
Yeah, we approved a couple of the proposals here. The Meldon brothers want to do an apartment complex over in the multiple zoning area, which is great, and we commended them for finding property which they could do their development. And also the RE Development Group wants to do a garage out at the Powell Road, so we also approved that too. That's it.
Okay, great. Briefly touched on the sidewalk subcommittee, so we'll work to schedule a date for that. Anything from the rental inspection subcommittee?
Yeah, we met, got some feedback from residents, talked to Bomarito a little bit, our building inspector. Zach brought up some good points that, there's no one really around us that's doing this right now. Armada, Bruce, Washington doesn't have anything, Lennox, Macomb, Ray. So after meeting and discussing, we feel that we probably shouldn't move forward with that ordinance at this time.
Yeah, we had the, Mr. Parker were there and Mr. Cushenberry also, and they gave their input. And so Ms. Chaika's daughter was there too. And we also felt that the blight ordinance, which would generate an inspection, which pretty much covers the same thing as the rental. So it was kind of overlapping itself. I think Mr. Parker was, not this one.
Bill.
The other one. Mr. Parker was very adamant on that part as far as what it covered, and we didn't want to overlap ourselves into it. So we then tried to contact Mr. Bomarino because of what Mr. Parker just said, the information of which we had for the townships and the villages north of, Sterling Heights, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
North of Sterling Heights, none of the outlying areas have this rental registration going on. So even Sterling Heights, who has a abundance of rentals, so does Shelby Township, none of them have this in place right now at this point. So we tried to talk to Mr. Bomarino, and we were going to meet with him. And
There's a couple missed opportunities, and then we had the special meeting, but I think after talking to Mr. Bomarino, he's looking for more of a way to enforce what we currently have, and he was pointing out the blight like you were also. And I feel that this ordinance, how it was written, is kind of like, I think
Punishment.
Bill said, it was like trying to kill a mosquito with a sledgehammer. It's way overboard. So maybe we need to look at the blight ordinance, if that's the issues that we have, and maybe tighten that up a little bit and get that going.
add to it.
Well, I can put both of those back on the agenda for June, and then you can offer your formal, recommendation as a subcommittee on that agenda item for the rental, and then we can look at the blight, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah,
I
that's
definitely think so.
Do we know
Okay.
how many non-owner properties are in the village?
I do not know that number.
Is that somewhere?
I'm sure that we could check with the assessing on both sides to figure out who has PREs
That would
and
be
who
important
doesn't.
to
Yes.
see.
Okay. So I'll put that on June's agenda.
Great.
Okay, on to unfinished business, our wastewater treatment plant security system. We have Mike Romano from Audio Century here with us this evening. It is his proposal, as you know, that he was approved for the contract to install the equipment out at the DPW. At that time of approval several months ago, we asked him to then go back and take a look at the wastewater treatment plant so that the equipment basically was the same, all operating under the same sort of umbrella and structure with same equipment to help ease of use. So go over your proposal, please, Mr. Morano.
Thank you. Mike Romano, Audio Century Corporation, 121 South Main Street, right here in Romeo. Grew up in the business, and I've been doing work in the area for, probably 25 years or more now. I had the opportunity to tour your wastewater treatment plant with Mr. Lapierre, and I was very happy that the mask mandate was in place when you're touring that facility. It'll be interesting. I was glad to have my mask available for it. There's a lot going on there, but nonetheless, it seemed like an older building. Al gave me the nickel tour. We walked the entire property. I asked him, get a little feedback. He knows the facility very well. And he shared, the extent of what happens there. And I looked at it from a security standpoint to provide necessary security. Nothing too extreme, but securing the perimeter and some main hallways of the main office building, as well as looking at providing a camera to give him the information of somebody coming up to the gate. And you have some of my site survey photos available in the plan that I put together. It was, I had toured it earlier, or back in the winter. You can still see snow on the ground from some of the site survey photos. It was probably, with all the projects that I've done over the years, one of the more difficult ones. It adds to design challenge there, which I was up for, because one of the buildings there that would act as the anchor for camera equipment kind of sits at a different level that I want to work with, and it's going to need what I can see is some fabrication to lift the camera up in the air so it can be locked or viewed to the gate there, which I think that information Al would find beneficial, or you guys would, so you can see the traffic that's coming and going to the gate. And talking with Al, a lot of times that gate is closed. Somebody might need to make a call, or if the gate's open, at least you'd have some information as to who's coming through that gate. I think there was a break-in around the north side of that facility several years ago that Al was telling me about, and the kids got over the fence or what have you. So with the building, right now, there's nothing, but with the building secured and a strong perimeter, the motion detectors in the hallways, we just want to know that somebody's not freely walking around in there or got into the building with no detection at all. So I would be securing the perimeter, having some motion detectors through the main hallways there, and then the camera just initially focused on the gate, showing activity of coming and going through the gate, which is really the only point of entry to the whole facility. It's an old building, and it's going to take a little TLC to get today's technology integrated into a facility like that. I'm using some of the best technology, bar none, that's available. We're experimenting, obviously, with the DPW, some of the older buildings in implementing the newer technology, but I know what to use to get the job done. And basically, like President Malzahn was saying, keeping things the same type of security equipment, same type of keypads, everything will be uniform. So as we go, we'll be able to move, codes to different systems. There's high-speed internet there, so that's good for the infrastructure, but we'll be able to build off of that. There's power in what's called the grist building there. That's where I intend to utilize, starting with that, to get the camera focused on the gate there. And we'll be using the same equipment, so it would be the same software, the same app, to be able to share amongst the board members that need, or whoever needs access to the camera system, to see what's going on there. Pretty straightforward. I've got things built in with backup battery power for the alarm system for the building, and then, like utilizing the internet there for the video camera, and some new access points to provide necessary Wi-Fi to these high-definition cameras.
Great, thank you. Does anybody have any questions regarding the proposal itself? If not, you'll note that the total price was $6,415.
Did we get this out for other bids, Catherine? I noticed your name up here.
We did not send this out for other bids because we bid it out the first time for the DPW site, and during that discussion, we asked Mike to come and put a proposal for the same equipment when we awarded the bid to him for the first one.
But there's nothing wrong with the same equipment, but we should have more competitive bids. I remember I actually approved the first one for DPW, but I said, I think Trustee Parker brought it up, that we should have more bids, more than one bid, competitive bid. So, the same specification didn't go out to another company, it just went out to this company, is that correct?
That was the directives from the last meeting, was that we were going to have Mike put together a proposal with the same equipment at the other facility. So
and I think that
was the
directive also
direction.
was to have another contractor bid on the same equipment, if I remember correctly, because I made the proposal to do the DPW. But I do remember the conversation saying that we should get more than one bid on the second one.
I don't recall
I
that.
don't
but
remember that.
Yeah, I think I even brought up the policy again then, just like last time,
That's why we bid it out for two different systems.
Yeah,
We
but it
awarded
clearly
the
says we
contract to
need
him.
quotes from 3 vendors in our policy. And I'm just going to bring that up again.
There's nothing wrong, but just to follow our policy, just the same specification can be done out to another company. Just to have it in your record, so.
Well, I'm going to make a motion to approve this expenditure of $6,415 for the proposal that's presented for us tonight for Audio Century.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and support. Any other discussion?
Yeah, except for, you mentioned maybe a break-in a couple years ago. Did they even access the building? And do you guys feel there's a need for this out there?
Yeah, there probably should be. We did have somebody break in several years ago, and it must have been just kids, because they rifled through some lockers and stuff, but they walked right over top of all the hand tools and power tools to get go to people's lockers. So,
there shouldn't be a municipality or a municipal building that isn't protected by a camera system in this day and age. You just have to take into account the conditions that we're living under, so.
And I think, isn't that one building where the gas accumulates? We had the cables that we did. I mean, if somebody just wanted to mess with that, they could throw a can of gasoline up there and we'd have a huge problem.
not give anybody any
I
ideas.
Just
don't think
somebody
anyone's
wants to
saying not
mischief.
to.
That's something we don't need to go there.
No,
All right.
I think the main thing is following our policy again and obtaining the 3 vendor quotes that we continue not to do. And it just keeps getting pushed through. And I like Mr. Romano. I like his company. I know him. I've worked with him. It's nothing against him personally at all. It's simply that we have a policy in place and we continue to just brush it away.
I understand your
Brush
point.
it away.
Can you please call the roll?
President Malzahn?
Yes.
Bartholomew?
Yes.
Parker?
No.
Fowler?
No.
Edwards?
Yes.
Hart?
Yes.
Poznanski?
No, there should be more bids.
And I just want to make a comment again, it's perfectly, we went through and bid this for our DPW, got a competitive bid, had different people. We
So we
liked
still didn't
what, we
follow the
liked
policy
what
then.
Mr. Romano presented. He came up with the ideas, the plan, and the best solution. So on the tail of that, we asked him to take care of another facility.
I'm gonna ask
We don't
that.
have to go out and say.
Let's
we-
move on.
we
Let's
finished-
move on.
we-
Let's
Let me
move on.
finish.
All right, wait. Let's just move
We
on.
don't have to sit there.
No, I'm
and
sorry, you
have
don't
a
get to
vendor.
finish if we don't get to have a say.
We're moving
If
on.
we're moving on, then we're moving on, and
We're
Bob
moving
has to
on.
stop speaking.
Yes, we're moving on.
Okay, thank you.
Item B, marijuana business ordinance 556-1. From our last meeting of May 5th, I was asked to bring back copies of the ordinance with some revisions in it, which you have in front of you in print. There has been a slight change in some information that I have been able to gather in the meantime, speaking with Supervisor Mike Philbrook, identified a third-party entity, a separate company called ICF. I've reached out to them, had several discussions with one of their principal agents. She is working to present to us a proposal for what the services would render, what they would cost. And so it's my recommendation that we move forward with the ordinance, but I would like to include the wording for a third-party consulting firm to be added in with the people who would possibly review, just to give us the option. So it would be the clerk staff, the treasurer's staff, a third-party firm with the assistance of legal counsel. So I'd like to include that. I'd also like to include a minimum score of 60 points instead of the 75 that, 70 that's on page 7?
7. yes.
7, yes. So I'm going to make a motion to approve the ordinance as presented with those 2 additions.
Support?
I have a few
Any other
questions.
discussion?
Definitely. Got some.
Megan?
Basic housekeeping, page 6. Towards the end, there's a paragraph that says a group of at least 2 persons, including but not limited to. Go all the way down to the bottom of that paragraph, and it says, operate a marijuana facility per category within 30, yet in parentheses, it's 60 days. Are we at 30 or are we at 60?
Well, the original was 30, the last change was 60, so I
Okay.
can change that
So we
word
need that-
to match the parentheses.
Okay.
Yep. I'll amend my motion to include that change.
And then on second to last, is it second to? Yeah, second to last page, page 12. Again, towards the bottom, you can get a complete copy of the ordinance. We are no longer, it says 8:30 to 4:30, Monday to Friday. We're only open Monday to Thursday. So, again, basic housekeeping. And then I do have one other, maybe I just don't understand it, maybe it's wrong. On page 4, we talk about all the classes and the numbers that we're allowing. 2 growers, 2 processors, 2 safety, or 1 safety, and 2 secure transports. And then, when we move over to page, bottom of 7, top of 8, and we start going into defining those. So with the first one for the growers, 2 licenses, to the 2 highest scoring grow facility applicants. And then number 2, awarded to the 2 highest scoring marijuana grow facility applicants. And then number 3, at the top of page 8, 1 license to operate a safety compliance facility to each of the 2 highest scoring. That confuses me, is that 1, we're handing each of these 1, because then that's technically 2, that's not 1 total. Which way is that supposed to be worded?
Yeah, because the ordinance does mention that we're only going to give 1 license for that.
But the way this is stated, you're handing 1 to each of the 2 highest scoring grow facilities.
And if you look at number 4, it talks about giving 2 license to just the highest scoring.
So essentially, this keeps saying if you are one of the 2 winners of that grow facility, you get everything else. That doesn't make...
Which probably isn't how we want that.
1 license to operate a marijuana safety compliance, wait, not compliance, bottom, okay. 2 licenses to operate a marijuana grow facility to each of the 2 highest scoring applicants. 2 licenses to operate a marijuana processing facility to each of the 2 highest scoring. So 2 processors. Right?
And that's an
We have
issue
2.
also, because it talks about the license going to the marijuana grow applicant. That should be a separate application as per the ordinance, right? It even says if you're applying for different stuff on application fees, a separate application, and application fees shall be submitted and paid for each license requested. So not everyone that's going to grow,
Is going to transport.
my understanding is going to transport or
any
do
of
the
the others.
processing.
Okay. So eliminate the word grow in item number 2. 1 license to operate a marijuana compliance safety to the 1 highest scoring marijuana grow facility.
But not even
Which that
grow
kind of creates an
facility.
issue then too, because
Wanna
then you
take out
have
grow?
1 person testing
Compliance.
someone else's product. I don't know, if you're gonna give that license to 1 guy, it might have a grow, and then you're gonna rely on him to test someone
2
else's.
licenses to operate
Stuff.
marijuana transport to the highest marijuana transport applicant. Okay, so let me recap that. So, item number 2, we're taking out the word grow, which will be marijuana facility applicants, excuse me, it can be plural because there's 2. On item number 3, we're changing it to 1 highest scoring marijuana compliance applicant. Item number 4, right, because we have 2, we have 1 compliance. Item number 4, transport, there's 2 transporters. 2 licenses, and we're changing the word grow to transport facility applicants. Okay, anything else?
You can just
All right, I'm
restate
going to
that
make
again.
my, or you want to?
Could you just restate that again? I didn't copy everything you put down.
Okay. 2 licenses to operate a marijuana grow facility to each of the 2 highest scoring marijuana grow facility applicants. That stays the same. Number 2, 2 licenses to operate a marijuana processing facility to each of the 2 highest scoring marijuana processing facility applicants. Changing the word grow to processing. Number 3, 1 license to operate marijuana safety compliance facility to each of the, I could take out each, to the 1 highest scoring marijuana compliance applicant. 2 licenses to operate a marijuana transport operation to the highest scoring marijuana transport applicants.
Which, I'm pretty good with that. I guess I didn't realize before, if we're handing out separate licenses in this process, it sounds like we're just applying for the grows. So someone's going to be applying through this process to become a grower, but only be looking to get a transport license, and then we really have no recommendation or credentials or what we're looking for a transport?
They would be applying for each one of the facilities that they're seeking. So an application to transport would be one application fee. An application for a grow facility would be one application.
Yeah, I guess just reading through the scoring, it really doesn't talk about transport, right?
It only talks
talks
about the
more
roads.
about the grow facility.
Correct.
So we're going to ask someone that maybe just come in and do transport to apply for a grow and have a
And we're not
building
requiring any-
with everything laid out and all that. It's like we're not encompassing the transport or the compliance. And I mean, I'll refer to maybe someone that's more involved with this, with the safety compliance, the person testing the stuff. Do you want one person, or do you want to test your own, or have?
So technically, we're holding a grow and processing license. We could not actually do the testing of the transport.
Yeah.
Correct.
So-
In terms of having one person, I mean, there is multiple facilities throughout the state of Michigan. You know, the precaution would maybe be to kind of run through two different facilities, but having one is not a concern as long as they're approved and run to the ordinances. of the
And they're
state.
separate.
Correct.
Well, and they don't necessarily have to use that one next door in the village. They can send it off somewhere else. So it's not, that, I guess that's, yeah.
We prefer to keep it local, but yes,
Yeah.
if there were issues, we do have multiple options throughout the state.
All right, so I'm going to amend my motion to include the additional changes that we just discussed.
Could I just suggest some phrasing with respect to the numbers, the concerns that have been expressed? I had included this in a prior draft, and how the text got jumbled, I can't say, and I apologize for that. But if you look at the awarding of the licenses to address the concerns that were expressed, here's what I suggested it would state if you're inclined. I'm just offering this for your consideration. It would be 2 licenses to operate a marijuana grow facility, 1 each to the 2 highest scoring marijuana grow facility applicants. 2 licenses to operate a marijuana processing facility, 1 each to the 2 highest scoring marijuana processing facility applicants. 1 license to operate a marijuana safety compliance facility to the highest scoring marijuana safety compliance facility applicant. And finally, or lastly, 2 licenses to operate a secure marijuana transport operation, 1 each to the 2 highest scoring secure marijuana transporter applicants. And that should clear up the confusion of the wording. It's consistent with what the ordinance earlier provides as to the number of licenses, and it eliminates the confusion about 2 licenses to the 2 highest. Are you awarding 2 or are you awarding 4? This, what I'm suggesting would address that concern. And my suggestion is, my recommendation is that that language be revised based on what I just said.
Okay. So my motion to include the changes that we've just discussed is still on the table. Do we still have support?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I know we keep pushing it back, but I'm just going to recommend until we see it written fully, because that's what got us to this position we're in right now with working on it, rescinding the old one, is that it got approved based on said changes, and then it had errors, it was wrong. So I'm just going to recommend again that we table it until we see a final draft.
I understand your concerns. Can you call the roll, please?
President Malzahn?
Yes.
Bartholomew?
Yes.
Hart?
Yes.
Poznanski?
No.
Edwards?
Yes.
Fowler?
No.
I'm sorry, Parker?
No, without seeing a final draft.
Motion carries.
Motion carries 4-3.
We'll proceed with scheduling the public hearing for the ordinance and then getting it published as required. Thank you, everybody. Next up on the agenda, we have our audit RFPs. As you know, this RFP went out last year, There was some delays in getting this information in front of you. Trustee Poznanski asked that it be put on the agenda. It already was on, but she did suggest that Clerk Trapp reach out to each one of the respondents just to verify that their proposal was still valid. And I believe that Clerk Trapp did that, and did you get responses from all of the parties?
I did. Yes, that was included in my email.
And they all agree. So you can see, we have 6 bidders: Clark, Schaefer, Hackett, Yo and Yo, Gabbridge and Company, Raymond, UHY, which is our current provider, and Manor Costerisen. Sorry if I said that wrong. I'm sure I did. It is the recommendation of Tim Sadowski, our accountant, that we go with the lowest bidder, which would be Gabbridge and Company. Their price inclusive was $19,010.
I'll make a motion to go with Gabbridge and Company.
Support. We have a motion by Bartholomew with support by Edwards. Any other discussion?
As much as I respect Tim's opinion, I would think, given our current state of ransomware and how all of our accounts have gone, we should be sticking with people that have done our audits, know our books. We should be going with the people that we've done business with before. There's not a huge discrepancy here, 19 and change to 25 and change.
The additional monies that we spent for support from UHY, the additional charges of the $1,900 for this report, $1,000 for that report, brings their bid up significantly, where the rest of the bidders are all included in the base price for all that assistance for the Act 51 reporting and for the MERS reporting. So if it's all included, it's really about a $10,000 annual savings. So we have a motion and we have support. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
That was motion by Bartholomew, support by Edwards?
Yes.
Okay. Roll call. Bartholomew?
Yes.
Edwards?
Yes.
President Mozan?
Yes.
Fowler?
Yes.
Hart?
Yes.
Poznanski?
No.
Parker?
No.
Motion carries 5-2.
Okay. We added agenda item D for budget under unfinished business. At this time, we have no plans to have any additional budget meetings. We were prepared to talk about that on May 5th. It was on the agenda, and the 3 trustees walked out of the meeting, therefore giving up their fiduciary obligation to review that budget. So at this time, we're prepared to draft the public hearing for the budget and present a balanced budget for your vote in June.
Okay, well, I would like to set up some dates that we could all be present and we could all go over the budget. We could have the accountant be available. I don't know, what works for you guys? Next Monday,
I'd like to
following
understand
Monday?
what the accountant needs to be here for.
Why wouldn't we have the accountant here?
We have the numbers provided by the accountant.
We've
I
had to
didn't
literally,
understand.
Bob, we've literally had to stop a meeting so the clerk could step out and go make a phone call.
Correct.
Because the person wasn't here that had the numbers. Why would we do that? Why not have the accountant here?
I don't know,
So we
for
can
10
ask the
years-
questions,
for 10
get them
years, it wasn't
answered
required.
in an open
Exactly.
public
It was
meeting.
not.
For 10 years,
Because
it
what
wasn't
you're
required.
asking us to do is to ask Catherine a question she may or may not know, so then she has to go ask somebody else a question, which again, I mean, you're the one that doesn't want to kick cans down the roads anymore. So then we have to come back at a different meeting and hope that Catherine actually transfers that conversation to us correctly. So no, having it in an open, public, transparent manner with our accountant here is exactly what we should be doing.
There was not a question in that meeting that you guys asked that couldn't be answered. You did not
You don't
want
know that, Bob.
to have a budget meeting
She was on the
without the
phone. You
don't know that,
accountant,
Bob.
without the accountant being there, and you walked out. It was very disrespectful for the rest of
It
the...
was very
when you
disrespectful
walked,
that
trustees.
you knew
All
the
right,
accountant
we're
would
not
be
going to argue.
available.
We're not going
And
to
yet
argue.
you never let us know that the accountant
Excuse
would be
me,
available.
point of
I think
order.
we had happy trails too.
Right? Point of order. We're not going to argue.
There was a
We're-
point made that day that he wasn't available anymore. So we had intended for him to be here, would be my understanding. And if we planned it where he wasn't available, that makes no sense. Because you even asked if we could get him online. So your intention was to have him part of that meeting? and now
You've
you're saying we
said
don't
that in
need
your
it.
text message to us.
If there was a question, but we also were prepared to take any questions and discuss the budget
Yes, well, it
as
is
we
also your
normally would
duty, should the
in
council
every
ask
single
you to go
meeting.
over the budget, that we must go over the budget.
We were prepared, and we had that meeting scheduled to do that, and that
No, you
didn't
didn't.
happen
That
at
was a
meeting.
special meeting. That was never prepared for.
That was the alternate date
That was an 18-hour at the last minute, let's throw this on there too while we're already meeting. That wasn't planned. We
We
need
had
to
the
give the
third
public
alternate
more than
date.
18 hours to know that we're talking about their budget, their money, their business,
I'm
their
available,
village.
and I continue to be available to meet with any resident who
No,
wishes
ma'am,
to
that
go
is
over
not
the budget.
transparent, and that is no longer acceptable.
That's
So,
your point of view, so.
Are we available next Monday, the following Monday? What days would everyone be available to go over the budget?
I'm not available.
Oh, ever? You just said that you were available.
No, I said we made it available on May 5th, excuse me.
So you were
chose
refusing to
walk
go
out
over
of
the budget.
meeting. Right, we'll bring the budget to our meeting, June 21st.
So you're refusing to go over the budget?
We provided an opportunity
I
for
would
you
like to make
go
a
over the
motion
budget.
that council meets next Monday, May 24th, 7 o'clock, to go over budget.
Second.
Want to call a roll on that?
Okay, that was motion by Poznanski, that was second by Fowler?
Yes.
Okay, Poznanski,
Yes?
Fowler,
Yes.
Bartholomew,
No.
Edwards,
Yes.
Hart,
No.
Parker,
Yes.
President Malzahn.
Nope.
Could we also see if our accountant could make that, and if not, be in person, by
4-3
telephone?
motion carries.
We can ask his availability, I do not know.
We do have an accountant, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, Matt, you'll be chairing that meeting?
Clerk Trapp, will you be available to go over the budget at that meeting?
At this time, I'm not available.
So neither of our administration, our clerk or our president,
Well, this was just
Would
sprung
like to
up
go
on
over
us,
the
so
budget.
no, I'm
Just
not
sprung up
available.
like
Yep.
18 hours
All
before
right,
last
let's
time.
move on, but the motion
Makes
passed. So we have new business, Bruce Township Sewer Capacity Request. We have Mike Philbrook here with us. You have a copy of the letter in your packet for Craft Engineering, and he's here to talk about sewer.
Good evening, Board. My name is Mike Philbrook, the supervisor for Bruce Township. So going back all the way to 1977, Bruce Township and the Village of Romeo went into an agreement to treat Bruce Township's wastewater capacities. Back in, again, originally from 1977 and again in 2001. Contract's been continuously upgraded and refigured for more capacities than we're standing at right now at a total of 510,000 gallons a day. The sewer treatment plant back in the day was in need of repair, maintenance, and upgrades, and the agreement was with that Bruce Township pay 51% of the cost of the expansion and continue to pay 24.29% of all costs associated with repairs, maintenance, including materials, labor, construction costs, engineering fees, etc. The original cost of Bruce Township was around $2.5 million. The Bruce Township has agreed to pay the Village of Romeo $50,000 quarterly, $200,000 a year annually for all the costs of maintenance, chemicals, labor, anything that's needed to take care of and maintain the sewer treatment plant. I guess that would include the new security camera systems also, since the telephones and everything's on uniforms and looks like soap's on there, insurance, but so maybe that's a bonus that we'll be paying 24% of the security costs also. I feel that Bruce Township has been held up to every bit of the agreement, has been a pretty good customer to the Village of Romeo. And reevaluating what my previous administration calculated, including short-term and long-term development, Bruce Township needs additional allocations. I feel previous administration was using a multiplier at 2.31 residential equivalent units per acre. It was not high enough, and the multiplier should have been around 3.9 RUs per acre, with a total of 1 RU equaling 300,000 gallons, or 300 gallons per day. With that being said, Bruce Township, short term, we're looking at an additional 218,000 million gallons a day, or 0.218 million gallons a day. And then long-term, we'd be looking at 0.165 million gallons a day, or 165,000 gallons a day, with a total of 383,000 million gallons a day additional. So right now, we're running right around on an average on wet flow days or high flow days, we're averaging between 40 and 52% of what we're currently allowed. We're currently allowed 510,000 gallons. And if you look at the graphs, we show that with the current site plan developments we have approved, will bring us right to the 595 million gallons a day, or 0.5095 million gallons a day, which puts us right at our maximum capacity. If you look at the other graph, I don't know if you guys all have this graph here for short-term and long-term.
It's in their packet.
So an additional on our phase one for the short term, it shows the additional 0.218 million gallons a day that we're going to need for our short term. Some of those short-term developments are going to come a little bit sooner than what we actually anticipated. And then we need an additional 165 million gallons a day for our long term, which totals out to 383 million gallons a day. So we're looking at a total, give or take around 890 to 900,000 gallons a day of treatment. So I guess my proposal would be that possibly that the Village of Romeo would look at possibly treating additional capacities. I know there would have to be a renegotiation of the contract. I think that we have a fair contract in place right now. We've passed that cost on to our residents, and I think everybody knows that our parameters on profit and loss margins are real tight. Any increase that would be to the Township of Bruce would definitely be a ripple effect that would go down to our residents and our community. We have a variety of residents in our community, such as the village does. We have our industrial corridors. We have our yuppie groups, and we've also got our senior citizens that are retired and living on fixed income. So any kind of an increase in price is going to be detrimental to some of the people in our community. So if we have to renegotiate the contract, just so you could just keep that in mind to try to keep the costs down and not try to gouge the residents of our community.
What's the maximum number you need, gallons per day?
How much more additional?
Yeah.
It would be 383,000 gallons more a day.
Okay.
We're currently not even at our 510, but with the
right, understand that.
Future build out.
But 383,000
additional to the 510.
Additional. My offhand, I would suspect that we have it available because of what didn't happen with Armada, but I'd want to take some time to take a look at some of the past charts and things like that to make sure what kind of actual volume we have available. But my offhand feeling is that we probably do have it.
You are correct. We have 500,000 gallons that's in reserve for Ford. I have a meeting set up with the gang from Ford on Thursday to review my proposal for them for some sewer support for their for our infrastructure in their absence.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how many gallons they're going to ask us to reserve for them, but my conversation with Mike and also with Mike McDonald at HRC was that, this is a great stopping off point, and him just coming, to ask us for consideration of this. I'd like to reconvene the sewer subcommittee that we did for Armada, which I think was you and me, and I believe Zach at one point, but I don't know if, I think you sort of stopped attending the meetings, but, and then certainly meet with Al and really take a look at our plan, its infrastructure. Is it aging? What's the status? What is the actual capacity? What do we have available? And some studies involved. So.
And we need to keep in mind our annexation. We have a lot of property over there that's going to need something from us eventually that we are now responsible for. So we need to keep that in mind.
Correct.
Also.
Mm-hmm.
Good point.
Yep. So that's my
Okay.
recommendation, that
We
we
would like
just
to help you if we
reconvene the
could.
sewer subcommittee and negotiate this further, and then bring back a recommendation
I mean,
of the
as
board.
also stated in the contract, even when we were working with Armada and all that, within the contract, Bruce Township always had the first right of refusal.
Correct, that's first.
So, at that point in time, you did refuse. In fact, at that point in time, you were trying to sell us back capacity.
And then they even tried to sublease it, sub-give it to Armada, even though
Yes.
they weren't allowed to. Not you.
No, I was
We know.
talking with, no, we did have a conversation with John Patrick and President Malzahn, and it, you know, it was something that we were looking at, maybe entertaining the fact of selling sewer to the village of Armada. But our graph here doesn't show any sewer capacity going to the village of Armada, or Armada Township, I guess you'd say.
No, we don't have any. That all fell through, so.
Right.
Correct, yeah. We did move forward with that.
But no, by contract, Bruce Township cannot be subcontracting
Yeah.
out volume to
Right.
a third party.
The supervisor of the village of Armada came obviously to you guys as well as to
Yep.
us. I mean, it was kind of like, hey, can you do me a favor? We could really use sewer capacity in this one quadrant.
Yep.
In this one subdivision, and that would be about it, because he's obviously got to cross the river, and it's not going to be practical to cross the river and try to send sewer to the other side. So I know it wasn't a lot of sewer that he was looking for, but it was still sewer capacity that you guys would still have to treat, you know, so.
I think it was 50,000 gallons. So
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion just to reconvene the sewer subcommittee. Are you still willing to serve on
Yep.
that? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I'd like to, Mr. Parker, give my position, or transfer my position to Mr. Justin Parker, who would have the time to meet. Would that be okay to this board?
That's fine. We typically do try and meet during the day,
Okay.
just so that you know that, but I'll let you know when those meetings are, and
Yeah, I can do that. As long-
if
yeah,
you're-
little
if you're-
notice.
if you're willing to attend.
Usually like in the village office there upstairs.
Yeah.
Do I have support for that? I made a motion. to-
Support.
Okay.
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you can stay there for a second, because next up on our agenda is the sale of our police vehicle. As you know, we bought 2 new police vehicles. They're in the process of being decommissioned and the new equipment installed. On the new ones, decommissioned the old ones. And Mike had approached me about the possible purchase of one of those vehicles. The other one, we're going to just take off the police equipment and have a Village of Romeo emblem put on the side panel door and keep that as a municipal fleet vehicle, so that if people need to go to meetings or whatever, they can utilize that instead of using their own car and submitting a mileage request. So, Mike, you have a copy of the title and the registration with the VIN number. You have a copy of the Carfax history. You also have a copy of the letter from Expert Automotive. They were out there just giving it the once-over to make sure that it's in good working order. And you have a copy of the resolution that Mark drafted allowing us to sell the vehicle. So you have some options. We can send it to auction. We can entertain Mike's proposal, although I haven't heard from him how much he's actually willing to offer. Or if you just want to set a price on the car and ask him if he's willing to pay that.
Well, the price of the party was 7,600, right?
Correct.
You open
How
that up
about
to the residents?
7,600?
I know that was the original proposal. I know that was kind of on the, you know, you look at the Kelly Blue Book or the Carfax on it, or whatever, that's kind of what we kind of compared it to. That falls right in the parameters with a vehicle that style, and I guess, but being it's a municipal vehicle, it's got a lot of idle hours on it, which is not included in your basically your 140,000 miles total on the car, additional to the idle hours. You know, we were thinking more like in the line of $7,000 is what we would be looking to entertain for the purchase price of the vehicle. You know, if you send it to an auction and you try to get $7,600, you're going to pay the auction fees and everything else anyways, but, you know.
Then we have to pay
We
the
sell it right out to our residents. You're the first option of refusal. You're a resident.
I am a resident of Bruce Township, correct. We just have, we only have one municipal vehicle right now, and, I mean, it's like, I guess like when you're going to take a shower at home, everybody wants to take a shower at the same time, there's no hot water.
So can we do municipality to municipality sale? Is that what you were thinking about, or?
Yeah, the resolution that Mark drafted just allows us to sell it. Yeah. So, does anybody want to entertain Mike's offer of $7,000 on the sale of the vehicle?
I'd be for that.
Yeah, I would too. I'll support.
Is that your motion?
Can we,
to accept?
can we word it in there somewhere that we're doing this with, cooperative with the municipality? So we're not questioning.
Well, it would be
our-
contingent on our board's going to have to vote on it on Wednesday, 21st of this month. I mean, I can't give my, you know, I can just make the motion to our board. And we do have it on our agenda, actually, for the 21st. for our board meeting.
I mean, there's somewhere in here that we're doing this with, cooperating with our brothers municipalities.
We appreciate it.
It's something you can sell to the residents as opposed to saying, why didn't I get a chance to bid on this car? You just get, you know. So if we cooperate directly with the municipality, then yeah, I'm in favor of this.
Okay. Do you want to include that wording in your motion?
Sure.
Cooperatively.
Don't ask me to repeat it all, but
Yeah.
Could we add in
Is that
there,
okay,
should they
Mr. Clerk?
refuse on Wednesday, that it then
Okay.
goes to
yeah,
the
then
next step?
if your board turns it down, then it would just go
Then
to
we can-
auction.
Yeah, there we go.
Do you need a recap on that motion? Or do you think you have it, Catherine?
I think I
Mr.
got
Clark
it.
says
Give
we
me
can
one
do it
second.
too, so.
And it's 7,000?
7,000,
7,000.
right?
Yes.
And that was motion by Bartholomew, second by Edwards.
Other way around.
Edwards made the motion,
Edwards
support by
made the
Bartholomew. Call the roll when you get a chance.
Yes. Edwards?
Yes.
Bartholomew?
Yes.
President Malzahn?
Yes?
Fowler?
Yes.
Hart?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Poznanski?
Yes?
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Let
Have
us
a
know
good
how
night,
it turns
everybody.
out. You got it. Up next, we have our wastewater treatment plant boiler repairs. You have the proposal that you see in front of us, or in front of you, $14,800 for those repairs. And you also see some pictures of the condition. And Al is here to talk boiler.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So we had a company, Watson Brothers, who's done the work on these boilers before. We've had this problem with the boiler before. They're the ones that tore it apart last time. They're the ones that repaired it, so they're the ones that I had come and take a look at it this time. Well, earlier you okayed $4,000 to have them look at it. Well, when they tore it apart, you can see the condition that it's in. If you look at all the holes, those all have to be cut, all those pipes have to be cut out and new ones welded in. This is mainly because we run, in that particular boiler, we run methane. We use that methane from the process, and we heat the solids with it and to break them down, but that methane is really dirty. So going forward, right now I'm just worried about getting this fixed, but going forward we're going to figure out whether we want to do a maintenance program and take this down every couple of years and clean it, or to get away from the methane altogether. I can run straight natural gas in this, but it's going to cost us a lot more money in natural gas. So I haven't figured that out yet. That's something I'll do after the fact. I just want to get it fixed right now. Any questions? Or? This is, we just got the one folks doing it. Watson Brothers, those are the folks that tore it apart. I really can't get anybody else to touch it because it's all tore apart. Be like, having a mechanic tear your car apart to see what's wrong and then leave everything there. I'll have some other folks get a bid on it. I'd like to have these folks fix it. They're the ones who fixed it last time.
When was the last time?
What's that?
When was the last time?
2013.
Lasted a long time.
I would figure that out with the years and
Yeah.
what we've, how much we'd save in gas, and I'll do all that later on.
Yeah.
To see if maybe it's just better to get away from using the methane or not.
Because is the methane what we recycle?
Excuse me?
Is that what we recycle?
Yeah, we use in our solids program, we separate the solids and we break them down, and one of the things that comes from it is methane. And
that's
he was
what we
talking about that earlier, that bubble that's held, it's the methane gas. Right now, we have excess, we flare it off. We have a flare, we just burn it off. But we use a lot of it in same heating, the very process that creates the methane.
Yeah.
So it saves us quite a bit of money, but we're going to have to figure out what's the best way to go from here. This is the second time we've had this problem.
Did they recommend any type of continual maintenance?
Either that, or just like I said, either doing some sort of continual maintenance or getting away from the methane. So we'll have to see what the numbers bear out later on. I just want to get it repaired right now and get it going.
Well, I'll make a motion to accept the bid from Watson Brothers Company in the amount of $14,800
Support.
to do the repair.
A motion by Edwards, we have support by Poznanski. Any other discussion? Call the roll, please.
Edwards?
Yes.
Poznanski?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Hart?
Yes.
Fowler?
Yes.
Bartholomew?
Yes.
President Malzahn?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Item D, emergency contractors. I pulled out the emergency purchases under our purchasing policy, which I didn't include the whole purchasing policy, just section 9 as I labeled it, just so that you understood exactly what we were talking about under emergency purchases. You know, we had this situation with the trees by Mount Vernon tree that came before us that I did consider an emergency. We continue to have, now we have had another instance where a limb fell out of a tree and smashed a resident's car. They're not that happy that we knew that these trees are hazards because they are hollow. So under my emergency purchasing authority, I have asked Mount Vernon to take care of the issue. Upon your request at the last two meetings ago, Tim did reach out to 2 other contractors. Neither one of them have submitted any pricing to us for this service.
All we want to know.
Yes. So I asked them to put together, and I talked to Mark briefly about this, like who are our go-to guys, right? So Mark indicated that he didn't know of it in writing, but that Marion always had the list. And so I asked each one of our supervisors to put together the list of who they would contact in the event of an emergency, so that at least you would be aware of who we're utilizing and why under this emergency preparedness section of who we're approving. So if anybody has any issues or wants to bid out any one of these, you know, in particular in case of an emergency, let me know. Otherwise, you don't have to take any board action. I'm just giving it to you as information. That's what it's there for. And any other questions or discussion on that?
Nope, good idea.
Okay.
All the contractors on there for DPW, we have to have for our contingency plan, their people for our water systems. We have to actually submit that to them, keep it updated yearly.
I forgot to add that. Thank you for that info. Yep, appreciate that. All right, we have moving on to item E, parking. Trustee Parker asked to have this added to the agenda.
Pass it down.
So I thought I thought this might be on the agenda already, but I just wanted to get out ahead of it. I know you had been talking to the other boards and trying to get together like an amount to charge for the ordinance we already have in place for the in lieu of parking. And I basically just really simply wanted to point out that it's not supposed to be a board recommendation. It was supposed to be put together by the village engineer. That was pretty simple in the ordinance.
Second page.
So that was it.
No, I'm just, Zach, do you have one?
Yeah.
Okay, I got 2, but that's fine.
No, I might printed an extra.
Does Mark Clark have one?
Yep, I do.
Thank you.
That was it. I know you had been talking to the boards and looking for a number for that, and I just figured that instead of keep shooting it around, let's get it out there if that's something we're going to entertain.
Well, I did reach out to the city of Rochester. They have a parking guy that serves in that capacity for planning and parking. I haven't had a chance to circle back to have a sit-down meeting with him, but to get an understanding of how Rochester handles their payment in lieu of, I do know it's $7,500 per parking space.
Yeah.
But when we had the discussion at the board level, there were a lot of questions about, is there a bank that's built up? Is it, you know, do you resell more spaces if the building or business sells? How does that work? So
Yeah.
I haven't had an opportunity to reach out, bring that information back, but I certainly will work towards that. I can also reach out to Mike McDonald from HRC and ask him if he has an idea of what he thinks it should be.
Yeah, because it talks about anticipated acquisition, development cost, and definitely think that's probably better suited for him or our engineer than.
Yeah, because I know we kicked it around at the DDA. They were threw around a number. And
Yeah, there's some numbers thrown around, and that's part of the reason I requested some of those minutes. I believe I was told that might have been discussed or there might have been something done back then when this ordinance went into place. So we want to look back at the old minutes and see what we've got in place already.
Okay, we can review that. If I can get a chance to have a conversation with him, I'll put that on June. If not, we'll put it on July as soon as we can. All right, item F, minutes. Trustee Parker, you also asked to have this agenda item added.
A couple of these here, just kind of minutes touching on two different things with the minutes here. Circling back to the March minutes that we approved last month in April. Just going to question, I know we talked about continuing to publish in the Record newspaper, which didn't go through, but we never actually went back to the 2017 and rescinded that motion that was made. Based on the motion that was made and approved, it was motion by Melzon, seconded by Hart, to post full meeting minutes drafts in 3 locations. And that's simply how it was left. So we're questioning why they're not posted in the Record, because it should still be posted in the Record based on the motion that was made. And what was...
Right, only ordinances need to be repealed.
I understand.
Ordinances are laws. We make motions all the time, and their intention is to update and move business along. So,
I understand, but when Megan brought up and we discussed the 2017 minutes, you guys made it very clear, you talked about the intent of the motion and what was discussed, and how this was wrong because it said minutes and not synopsis. But now we're in the same situation now, where all you clearly made the motion for was to post it in 3 public places. It said nothing about not posting it in the Record.
That's correct, because we are not.
So...
We're not...
It was here.
The amendment, the motion, was to exclude publication anywhere.
It doesn't say
But
that.
it doesn't say
Other
that.
than the 3
And that's the thing you kept beating up and making a point about, the intent and what was motioned and what was agreed upon and voted on. You made that very clear, and now you've done the same thing.
It's a good point. Thank you for catching that.
So we just, currently, right now, we're still under motion from 2017 to post in the Record.
I don't believe so. I believe that we beat that dead horse before, and we said that we are not going to publish it any longer. We are only going to post it in 3 locations.
Well, and even then, being in 3 locations, they're not even on the website right now. And Bob made a point at the last meeting to make sure that that was added, and they're not on the website. And that was
On the website, and
specified.
the minutes aren't even up to date
Is there a
on the
legal opinion?
website. Mark?
We're not under obligation under the general law of village to publish it anywhere. This last motion
I
and
understand, but
discussion at the table was
but the
that we were
board in
not going to
2017,
continue to
September
publish
18.
it in the Record. We were going to only post it in 3 locations.
But that's not what the motion was.
The motion says we're to post full meeting minutes, drafts in 3 locations.
Yep.
That's what we're
There's
doing.
still a motion that says
That's what we're doing.
from 2017 to
what we're doing.
publish in the Record. So just for clarification, because you beat it up when it's in your favor or it's something that you want, but then we do the same thing, or you make the motion and you don't include not putting it in the Record.
If it will help, I'll clarify, and I'll make a motion,
I would
even though
like that clarified, definitely,
we just
because
added that agenda
when you
item
beat it up
tonight,
for your
we
purpose,
typically do
but then you
not-
say that we're wrong now.
We typically do not make a motion or a vote on agenda items for stuff that we're just getting before us right now.
It wasn't. You
So-
had this on here. It's printed on here.
We did not receive this document until just.
Oh, please,
he
you
just
do that
handed it
all the
out
time,
3
Christine.
minutes ago.
All the time.
Well, you know what?
It's like when you tried to
Like,
get us to vote on
literally.
the ordinance at the special meeting last second. Oh, based on
With
the
a different
changes,
direction.
it was
You can
all wrong
continue
when we
to
got it.
pick-
to-
Or a
you can
budget,
continue
a
to
budget
pick
that
and
we
find
get at the
fault all you
table.
want.
I know, but you
Under
do it too,
parliamentary
Christine, and you
procedure,
twist it and you
right?
play it against
Nope,
us.
We're not going to do that. We're not going to argue
I
about
would
this.
like if we didn't do that moving forward, and we could be transparent and open, and you give us full stuff up in enough time to review. It'd be great. It'd be great. I don't know why
Well,
we're
this would
approving
be awesome if we
ordinances.
would had it in our packets, to put in our packets
Oh.
for this week.
I think it actually is. I received
Yes.
it in my packet, but the full minutes for March. are in there. So, I mean,
No,
technically.
We did not receive this in our packet.
It's literally right here,
It was not submitted to the
Christine.
village
I
offices
received it in my
to be
packet.
put in our
Are we
packet.
posting it in 3 different locations?
Did anybody else
posting it in
receive the
3
March
different
15th
locations.
minutes in your packet?
Yes.
Did you
Think so.
receive the full pages of the March 15th minutes in your packet?
So, yeah.
Because I did, and that's what this is a page from.
Okay, and then, so the other thing on the minutes, it was kind of just recently brought to my attention, I wasn't aware, it probably happened before I got on, that our clerk is being paid extra to be at meetings to take the minutes, which I don't know, that's confusing, because I think it's part of her job description. But with that, we had Nate and Megan both take minutes recently when she wasn't available. So does that money then go to them to be paid to take the minutes? If we're going to pay our clerk, who it's clearly her job, neither their job to do it, shouldn't they get paid to do that then?
It's actually a meeting stipend, and every trustee gets a meeting stipend for attending the meetings. So it's not a stipend to actually come and take the minutes, although that's the function that she does perform. The same stipend is allotted to anybody like Elisa Hall, who's another person who wouldn't typically be attending this meeting, or Cindy Wilson, when she attends HDC Planning Commission meetings, she's given the stipend to take those minutes, to draft them, where Nathan and Megan were already receiving a stipend for that work for the evening.
So I guess when they're doing double duty then they're not
The stipend
doing up
is
and
for,
beyond
it's a meeting stipend.
their duties or what they're responsible to do as a trustee.
Well, I volunteered to do that evening, so I'm not looking for.
No, I understand. I just thought it was funny. It was just
But
brought
you
to my
are correct,
attention
Justin.
recently.
It is in the law, and it is part of the clerk's duty to take the minutes. And she does get paid for that.
In addition.
Well,
Yes, she gets a salary and she gets the meeting stipend, just as we all do.
Which no other
For
clerk
being
before her
here
ever got.
Tonight.
Oh, okay. So it's in addition.
Just a heads up.
All right. Any other discussion?
No, that was it.
Okay. Then we have our closed session. So we'd like to ask everybody to excuse themselves. The closed session would be for the purposes of potential real estate purchase. Yes, for the purpose
So
of
do you need a
real
motion?
estate purchase. Yes, I need a motion.
Motion to move into closed session?
Support.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right.
Break.
Please hand your yellow and blue papering back to Catherine before you pack up your stuff. And Zach, you want to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn? Second? However you put it out there, yes.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Motion by Fowler, support by Bartholomew. It is 9:08. Meeting closed.
So you look at your vote?